In order to be viewed as a person who's actively engaged, you need to volunteer for assignments, and you need to come with a can-do attitude. Again, keep that balance. Can-do attitude, but check yourself out. Do I have too much on my plate and I'm not going to be able to really accomplish this? Share openly and willingly. Give people feedback. How do you think it's working? What's good, what's not? I think a lot of times we may focus on the bad and we don't identify what's good. In other cases, I see people who are much more able to pat themselves on the back and not necessarily look at what may not be working so well for the group. Also, be willing to give people credit when they are, they've had a great idea or they've actually done something that made the whole difference in the process. Give people, share the credit. I think I've watched people who see somebody who is a big fan of themselves and it's all about them. That's a real turnoff with the group. So if you want a group to work well, you've got to spread the praise around and realize that it takes, again, a group of people to accomplish what you guys are asked to do every day. Cooperate and pitch in. You know, I think one of the things that is always tough when, let's say, a new person starts in a job is that we do give them an opportunity to learn the job. But we're pretty much wanting to see how they jump in and take on responsibilities. And I almost always hear when somebody's valued, when a staff person's valued, it's because they jump in and they get busy. And sometimes they may not know clearly what they're doing, but they're much more willing to get started and then learn as they're doing. Flexibility is another thing. Teams are asked to change what they're doing regularly. Let's look at a typical day at your job. Often you may be going in thinking, you know, I'm going to do this today and this, and lo and behold, something changes it. So the groups need to be flexible. Sometimes the mission, what you've set out to do, is going to change. And it's a whole lot easier if you can roll with that than to resist it, because there's just a lot of change in the work we do. So be willing to compromise. Okay, I'm not going to be able to get this done, but what can I get done that's on my list? And if it's pressing, you need to communicate to the group, this is something that has to be done today, and explain why. It is so much easier to, one, give feedback or ask for a change of how you approach things if you have facts to back them. We're much more open to accepting a change in a routine if we truly understand the why. So don't be mysterious, let people know. As a problem solver, another huge characteristic about a good problem solver is also a characteristic that's valued in a good team. We want people who really want to identify the problem and not be the person who just dwells with why it doesn't work. A lot of that, when you're a problem dweller, you deplete the energy of the group, the team. So look more for solutions and less for blame and fault. Collaborate with others. If you're not sure how to resolve the situation at hand, then get input from others. You don't need to know everything. That's why we actually work better in groups, because we complement each other. The other thing is, you may have, if somebody suggests how to resolve an issue at hand, and you've had that experience and you feel, because of how the outcome that you experience that it's not a good solution, try to avoid being negative about what that person offers as a solution. I think we need to, often we get very casual and we'll go, well, we've tried that and that didn't work. Well, that can just shut somebody else down, when in essence, just maybe they have insight that you haven't had, and maybe it would work. And if you really are certain as a group, collectively, that this is just not a good solution, then try to say again why that didn't work. There's nothing more unsatisfying. So when somebody says, well, that just didn't work, and you're going, but I don't get it. Explain why it didn't work. Treat each other with respect. You know how you feel when people come across as being kind and supportive versus the person who's short and disrespectful. So I think it's really important that we treat each other with professional courtesy and support each other the best we can. Often we're brought together to work with people that we typically may not necessarily have a lot in common. But we all should be valued and we should be treated with respect. And that all starts with each of you. And when I talked about a commitment to the team, one of the things that I would encourage all of you to do is really have respect for one another and for your purpose and the commitment and demonstrate a commitment to the team. That will mean so much to the group. A winning team is people who have really bought in. They want success. They want it to go smoothly. If it's a final outcome like, a new policy, then you want to be able to cheer that. Or if it's a matter of getting a person you support into a day program that you've been wanting to get into, or a job, whatever. But be committed to it and be your best cheerleader, not only for yourself, but for the group and what they do. There's also some things that I just want to suggest outside of those very important 10 characteristics of a good team. But understand that conflict can occur, and that doesn't mean that you can't work through the conflict. What you have to do is be able to identify it. And then, just kind of like I talked about earlier about problem solving, once you identify, then try to figure out the best way to resolve the issue.